Let's f***ing roll.
All right, everybody, welcome back to the McBastards studio. We're here in Foco, USA. I'm Brad Banyas. You're listening to the SaltyMF GOAT. Today, we're really excited to talk to an ex-college basketball coach. He coached 18 years. He's got some great stories. He's a super guy. We wanted to bring him in, and should be a really fun time. So welcome Jimmy Link to the show. Welcome,
man.
Jimmy.
Appreciate it, man. This is going to be fun.
Yeah, man. I was, you and I got introduced to a friend, and I was looking back through like all the things you do and what you've done. And I mean, you got 3 kids, you're a coach, you're a good dude. So how did you end up coaching in college basketball?
Well, I played in college from like 99 to 03 at Flagler. And then when I got out, my brother was ironically coaching football at the University of Florida. He was on with Urban Meyer and all that. That's those years when they won the national championship.
Oh yeah.
And I was trying to figure out what I was going to do. I graduated. Now what? And I loved basketball, and he was like, "Why don't you just go back to Flagler and volunteer?" And then so I volunteered for a year and worked valet.
Yeah.
At a Hilton Hotel.
Oh yeah.
And when I went in practice, I was there and got into that, and then I ended up becoming a pretty known recruiter, and went up to Washington College up in Maryland, D3.
Yeah.
1 year. Flagler went NCAA, went back to Flagler for 2 years, and then I got a Division I job as an assistant at University of North Florida. Yeah. And it kind of took off from there, I think, in 2009. My guy I met at UCF became the head coach at Newberry College in South Carolina.
Oh, yeah.
So I started to leave Florida.
Yeah.
And when I was there for 1 year, he left me and went to Hofstra. And I had no job again. I was engaged. And Payne College, an HBCU, historical black college in Augusta, Georgia, called my phone because they needed to make sure we came back to play them the next year. We had already played them for Newberry. And we beat them pretty good. And he asked, "Did you recruit those guys?" And I said, "Yeah, we actually got them real late in August. Helped me and Steve DeMayo, which was my boss." And he said, "Did you recruit them?" And I said, "Yeah." He said, "This is how you talk to." His name was Coach Spry. He was great. He's the best. He's like a legend. And his name, and he talked like, "Why don't you come on over and hang out with me?" And I didn't know if that was an interview or just hang out with him. So I went over there. I thought it was an interview. We went to a church, and we went out the whole day. It was a whole day experience of the HBCU life, and he wanted to make sure I was cool with that.
Yeah, he was filling you out.
And I told him, he said, "You think you can recruit here?" I said, "I can recruit anything, whatever you need." Yeah. On my wedding day, actually, I'm walking down the aisle. I have no job. But I got the job before, and I couldn't tell her that until we were already through the aisle. So I said, "Hey, by the way, we're moving to Augusta."
So she was really excited.
Yeah, she was like, "Oh, wait, what?" Women,
yeah.
oh no, She didn't know what was going on. We just got married, and then we go to Augusta, and I'm the assistant coach there for 4 months, and he got released, or I don't know how, or he retired. I don't know what exactly happened. And they called me and go, "You're the head coach right now for the rest of the year for sure." So now I'm like, "Oh, great. They're not going to keep me. I'm a white dude at HBCU. They're not going to keep me."
You're young, dude.
Yeah, and I was 30 years old.
Yeah.
And that's 35 is like the magic number now. But when I was 30 and I didn't think I was ready, but I was like, you know what? I got to get ready. Yeah. And we had a baby on the way. Maverick was being born. And I was like, you know what? I just got to win. And then at Christmas, I brought in 4 studs that I shouldn't have been having at Payne.
Yeah.
And they ended up being eligible the next year. I got the job, got to hire Grant Leonard, who's now the head coach at Queens. And we turned that program around. They weren't very good that year I was there. And then the next 4 years, we ended up, winning 82 games. And I was National Box-to-Row Coach of the Year, which ends up being funny because of course, everyone at Payne goes, "You're National Black Coach of the Year." I was like, "Well, I'm not going to say that."
That's okay.
Yeah,
you were. You're the 215 National Black Coach of the Year.
I was.
Jimmy Link, right here, baby. He was. What's funny is you told me before we were talking, which I thought was funny, that I guess the athletic director, when you were thanking him and saying, "Hey, I really appreciate it," all he responded back was WIN.
WIN. I was thinking it was the president and the AD.
Oh, the president.
And the AD didn't respond, but I thought his name was Tim Duncan, who actually is now the AD at University of New Orleans. Great guy. But the president's the one that hired. And HBCUs, the president kind of runs things a little more, which is different than a lot of schools where AD runs it. I was trying to get him his attention. I wrote him this long email thanking him, my wife, this and that. And he wrote WIN in capital letters. He put in the subject line. And I just wrote, what do I do with this?
Hey kids.
Yeah.
That's called pressure.
Yeah, it was.
There's no bullshit. Win. Yeah. You went for 4 years. You had a really good run, right?
Real good run.
Yeah.
My fourth year there, which was kind of like my third year, but it was my fourth year. We were really good. We had really good players. I had Toby Veal from VCU. I had Jarrell Stevenson from Wilmington. I had Division I transfers. I had a lot of second and third chance guys.
Yeah.
You know that.
That's okay.
But
they still can ball.
I took them from scholarship and I made their life happy. Great. And they graduated, most of them. And and then I left. So my last year there in 2015. I had Denzel Dillingham, who's Rob Dillingham's brother.
Wow.
Who's the guy at Kentucky right now. Yeah. He is the dude. He's supposed to be a lottery pick this year as a guard. He's their point guard. And Denzel was awesome. No one talks about Denzel. They just talk about Rob. But the reason Rob's so good, when Denzel finished playing for Payne, he moved back to Hickory just to work his little brother out. And he's made him as good as he is. And I'll be honest with you, that guy can still go. Yeah. I'd put him up now. He was that good.
That's awesome. And kudos for looking out for your blood and your little brother. Kudos.
It was cool.
It worked out. Yeah. Older brothers, you have a really big influence on that younger sibling. So, beat the shit out of them, but also love on them and help them walk the path.
That's right.
Well, it was funny because Jimmy walked in. It's the first time we've seen each other, and Jimmy actually looks like my brother, which his name's Jimmy. I see him like, Jimmy! But I'm like, Jimmy, you're a point guard? You look more like a linebacker, brother. Yeah, right now I probably look like I'm playing defensive tackle, for the Falcons. But when I played, I was about 190, 200 pounds, 6'1", 6 foot, 6'1", and then after I left when I left Payne, I got the Clayton State job. Tim Duncan was the Clayton State AD. Oh, wow.
And he brought me because we were so good that year. Yeah. And we ended up winning the Peach Belt twice.
That's awesome.
And then my last 2 years, we weren't really that great. I had some things going on at home that did affect me in recruiting.
It does.
And I could feel it and ended up getting out in 2020. And then I sat out a year, and then I actually took a Piedmont Academy high school job down in Monticello. Yeah, which was it's like a culture shock for me because I was used to a PBI and HBCU, PBI predominantly black institution, which is Clayton State, HBCU to this all-white private Monticello, Georgia, Piedmont Academy, and we had a really good team. And then I when I got out, I was like, you know what? I called my brother and said, hey, I want to know what y'all are doing at Venture. Yeah. And I got in there and I actually did it also. I was telling you earlier about my sons. Maverick is the real deal in football.
He's a sixth grader, right?
Sixth grader.
So this kid's 5'10", 215 pounds.
Yeah. As
a sixth grader. So remember the name.
Yeah. His name's Maverick Link, and he's at George Walton Academy right now.
Yeah, that's insane.
And and the other ones are just as good as him. They're in the shadows of this monster. You know?
You have a lot of size in your family? You're a big dude.
I got good size. My brothers are all about the same height. My brother played linebacker at Florida, but Jennifer Link, who's my ex-wife, but their mom, she's 5'9", and then her brothers are all, her dad's 6'8" genetically.
Oh, wow. There you go.
And there's a lot of it. It's everyone's bigger than I am. So he looks different. The other two kind of have my body. Yeah. I look at him but his face, his head, everything's meat. It looks.
You never know. I've got 4 kids. My oldest son's Connor. I'm gonna say you're 5'9", buddy. So I'm gonna give you I think probably 5'8", but 5'9". But then the youngest one is 6'5".
Oh yeah.
They crazy. Look identical. Wow. But you never know genetics. No. So Connor, you should have eaten your greens, buddy. But so how is it? Obviously, I always ask people because I coach. People probably tire me here saying this on this podcast, but I coached Little League 22 years, loved it. All kinds of sports. Awesome. Football is my sport. But I kind of fell out of love with sports after college for a while. Like I just didn't, you train all the time. You just kind of
Burn out.
You burn out. You're like, I don't want it. And then when my kids got back involved, so are you coaching your boys too in anything?
So I did. I won't coach Maverick because we won't get along. No way.
Smart.
I'd rather.
By the way, he's probably just like Jimmy.
Yeah,
So.
yeah. We are twins, and he don't like really listening to me, even though I'm telling you, this is how we do it, and he doesn't. Yeah. So I mean, coaching him, it would be hard. I never did it. I also want him to be coached by 15 different personalities, so that when he does get to high school and college, it don't matter. You got the guy that yells all the time. You got the guy that's cool all the time. And he can handle all of them.
And that's tough. That's a good point. It's a really tough transition because
it is.
Like with some of my boys, same thing. And I coach my daughter too, which by the way, Madeline, my daughter, was the best basketball player. By the way, Maddie, you're the best basketball player. Awesome. Yeah, it was tough. So I would always take some of my kids and give them to the other coach. Like if I was coaching offense, I'd be like, all right, you got him on defense, and that worked out. But there gets to a point where they're not going to listen to you.
Nah.
And when I got middle school, I was kind of like, you need to. And it's hard if your dad's coached you the whole time and you're used to his way of coaching. I find that probably hurt my kids later in life than help them because they're not used to that different personalities of, this guy's a yeller, a spitter. I had this one coach. I won't call him out, but I should because he's kind of a tool. But he had a big old dip of Copenhagen in all the time. And when he got mad, he's right in your face, and then you're getting Copenhagen in your eye and rubbing it out. So nasty shit.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So now, like, do you miss coaching? I mean, you went into the business world, and business world probably a little bit better money, I would say.
Almost double. Almost double. Yeah, almost.
You miss it?
Here's what I hadn't missed any of it. Even during this whole season, I didn't miss any of it. In last season, I didn't at all. I've been going to a lot. I went to the Queens Duke game, Queens Clemson game, and then I'm going tomorrow to the Queens Kennesaw State game. Then I'm gonna try to go to the South Carolina Florida game. And my fix right now is just going and being right there behind the bench, like good seats, but staying out of that. I don't know. I do miss the team. I was telling Grant this, who's my assistant. He was the head coach at Queens now. I do miss the team part. Yeah. But on the flip side of it, at Venture, we have a team. Yeah. So it's kind of cool. I'm kind of a little bit wilder than everyone at Venture because I'm so used to sitting in a desk. I got to be moving, and I get in trouble. My brother, who's the VP of sales, he yells at me.
That's all right. Well, the guys that run the podcast, I've tried to stay still because I'm an ADD wiggle worm guy.
Yeah, me too.
And that's all right. That's a motor, man. I always tell people, hey, don't turn that off. It takes you further in business as well.
Now, people, they were joking about it, and I didn't think about it. One of them, I don't know, it might have been Andrew or Joe, probably Joe.
Joe's a good guy.
Yeah, he said to me yesterday that I probably would be a better coach now after being almost 2 years at Venture because of the organization. Yeah. A lot of coaches aren't real organized because there's so much going on. You got to deal with this kid and get him to class, and then you're in the middle of practice plans, and then you're going and all of a sudden now you got to go see some kid tonight, and you got to call your wife and tell her you're not coming home. And
perfect for ADD guys.
Oh yeah. Perfect. You just go.
Yeah.
But the organization, I bet he's right. Now I had to organize, payroll and who were calling for payroll, who were calling for health benefits and workers' comp. And all. So I definitely would probably be more organized as a coach. Yeah. But I miss the team stuff. But at the same time, man,
it's a grind. Probably you're on the road a lot too, right?
It was a lot. Yeah. It was a big part of why I'm not married anymore. Not big part. It was a huge part.
Yeah.
And just the kids and now I get to see them all the time. At practice. Mavericks. I taught him how to do shot put and discus. He's number one in the state right now for all sixth grade, all awesome. Schools.
That's
so
awesome.
I just I get to do that. Nash is running track. He's my third one. It's just I get to be around it, and as well as a dad, like that's so fun. And I didn't get to do that before. I was always, and if I was still coaching right now, I'd be gone all the time.
It really was the greatest, like that, over 2 decades of doing that was, and I've always been a business kind of guy, so I could, set my time. But, that was structured time with your kids is just, it's so important too. I know a lot of people like, they feel like they don't have time, but if you make the time, like looking back, just involvement in the community, the parents, the whatever. I mean, it was just a really good way to structure time with your kids. Yeah. Because it's so easy, like you said, you got to work. You're on the road. You got to be on the road. So spend time with your kids if you can. It's worth it. They'll be 32 before you know it. So.
Oof. That's how old your kids are?
My oldest son's 32. My youngest is 18. Yeah.
Wow.
So the last one was I have 4 kids. So I have 32, 29, 26, and 18, and everyone was like, "Man, if it was Michael and Oops, that's the last one." I'm like, no, he's the only one that was playing out of the 4.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, but it was a great thing. You and I were talking about just memories of like being with those little guys and stuff. Like you're talking about disorganized. I'm the most disorganized human being that's ever lived. You might be there with me. I don't know, but so in the huddle when we had a team and we had some really smart little guys on there, and I don't know, they were 8 or 9 or whatever, and I had a playbook that was just. Is in my head, so like the parents, can we have a playbook? I'm like, I don't have a playbook, it's in my head. And but all the little kids in the huddle, when I would call the wrong call, they would turn around and do it and call what I wanted to call. And then later in life, they're like 27, 28 now. They would say, "Coach, you called the wrong play a lot. A lot of times we would just go in and we knew what you wanted, so we just did it anyway."
Wow. So cool.
It was amazing. So what do you think? So now as a fan and getting to watch, well, you probably watch basketball on film, but I tell everybody I'm not a huge college basketball, like I watch it all the time. Mm-hmm. But March Madness hits, I'm watching the tournament.
For sure.
So like who do you like coming up and
well, ironically, I'm a Florida Gator fan through and through, and they're playing really good right now.
Are they number 3?
Well, I know they're like 3rd, I think, in the SEC, or maybe 4th in the SEC, but I think they've won like 7 out of the last 8 or something like that. I haven't looked, but they won last night. They beat Missouri. But I'm a big, I like the SEC right now. I used to love the ACC in basketball, but it's kind of changed. But the SEC right now with Kentucky, Tennessee, they got the number 3, the white kid. Yeah, he's really good. I mean, Florida's really good. I mean, they're all, Alabama's unreal. Yeah. It's funny. Georgia's at the bottom or near the bottom, but they're actually pretty good. Like, you don't want to play them. Yeah. Vanderbilt is at the very bottom, and they just beat someone, the other day. Yeah. So the SEC is probably like a toss-up, with that. The money in the SEC, whether it's football,
it's crazy.
Basketball, baseball, it's crazy. It just, when you got money.
Yeah, this whole NIL name, image, and likeness thing, probably, it's seeping. Obviously, we've watched it a lot from football because we've sponsored a lot of football athletes through Salty on Brinks TV, cool. The NIL house, watch that. But we're sponsoring athletes. Since most of my lean was football, I kind of lean to picking. But we've done gymnasts, we've done softball players, soccer players. All kinds. It's been a lot of fun, but the NIL, like what's going on with all the money, it's crazy. I mean, it's absolutely insane what some of these people are making. And I've watched the football side and know what they're doing, but I'm sure basketball is the same.
Yeah. Even the low level, like Queens. Yeah. He was telling me they have a whole money section, put it away to give these kids. He's got to get a kid for this amount of money. You can't get them, and you're trying to get a transfer. And to compete in your conference, and you need, you got to get a stud. You got to put it up. Yeah. My brother's, like I said, he's at University of Delaware coaching football.
That's right.
And he's like, man, and they just went BCS. So they were FCS. They're BCS coming up. And he says it's incredible. Like if you're going to get a transfer, the first thing they ask is,
I'm torn on that. I mean, we've talked a little bit about NIL on here, but I'm really torn about it. I mean, I like it from an athlete's perspective to get paid, but what happens is I don't know how many athletes are in the NCAA, specifically basketball, but the top 5-10% are getting that money.
Oh, yeah.
So then you've got all these other athletes that nobody's talking about. They're still not getting paid, or they might be getting deals like us where we're doing apparel or getting them on a show,
Right.
giving them some notoriety, trying to promote them, right? But like it's not everybody's driving around in a brand new Mercedes, and I think everyone gets that feel. But the reality of it is, I personally think overall it hurts sports.
Yeah.
Because you end up with whoever has the most money has got the best team,
Yeah. Or they should. And if they don't, they're probably fired pretty quick because they know how much money's getting put in from those businesses.
What do you think I'm just interested, like we didn't track this or anything, but like, what do you think, like if you were coaching today, like how would that be an impact on the positive side and the negative side for you? So like, how do you feel like that? Obviously, if you're at the SEC, you're pretty happy,
Sure,
right? But if you're not, and you're at Payne or Clayton State,
if you're a low-level Division I, or even mid-level, you're now becoming on top of being a coach, you're now becoming almost like a sales guy to get them to help.
Yeah,
without it. They're supposed to not talk about it, but they're talking. I mean, how else are you supposed to tell the company to sponsor them, you know what I mean, or pay for them, or whatever it is. But I think it would be pretty difficult, especially at that level, because most companies are like, well, I'll just go give my money to Georgia or Florida, or you know what I mean.
Yeah.
But I would also think on the flip side of it, for some of those companies or whoever's doing it, whoever's putting the money in, be good. They could also get people are putting it on Instagram and Twitter, and they're hashtagging it or wearing armbands or like I told Venture, I thought we should do that. Like get one guy coming out of the area, and make them wear a headband or a hat, and put them on Instagram, and just let them, they have to work too at it.
Yeah, so I mean, I tell you, so from that, you're talking about businesses.
Yeah.
So we got involved with a company called Icon Source, and what they do is allow brands to come together and target athletes and be able to, we're not doing big money, it's just gear and things like that. But it is like, we didn't really do it because we're trying to get the 5 stars. We wanted to honor the gritty, tough, good story kids that weren't getting, or young men or women that weren't getting the attention, and that's why we did it. So, I mean, I encourage like businesses from the NIL perspective of just highlighting that local person. We just signed a local person here, a couple of local high school kids for the first time, because NIL you can do in high school. Cool. And it's cool to like help them learn how to build their brand, and it's a good thing to do from a local business. But most of those alumni are kicking up some of that big money.
Oh yeah.
So
that level up there, it's when you start talking about 2 and 3 and 4 million, I mean, you don't even know really how much. All you see is what's reported. Yeah. I'm sure it's even more than what you see.
Yeah, exactly. I want a place up in Vail, and am I good over here? Am I moving around too much? But I'm good. All right, I got the clear. I'm good. Yeah, it's been an interesting thing, but as someone who coached and played sports, it's really cool to be back around the young athletes, because I'm retired. So, so what was the best time in your college career other than just winning, or what was the worst time? Like I can go back to moments that I was coaching in certain things that I remember succinctly, not that we won a championship, not whatever. But like, what was like some of your best memories of maybe influencing a young athlete, or just funny story? Or
I got a funny story. It's a really good story.
Roll it, bro. Roll it, man.
This is funny.
This isn't PG-13.
Yeah. Okay. So he'll probably kill me for saying this, but
you don't have to mention their name if you don't want to.
So I had
initials.
It was okay. He was my best player. All right. So the year 2014-15 season at Payne.
Yeah.
Payne was having like accreditation issues at the time, and they were trying to figure out where they're gonna keep the doors open. Like, and then they cut football out. We had football for 1 season. That was it. They cut it out. So they were all upset because they had all these kids in for football, but then they cut it out because they couldn't afford it, and it was just a big mess. And they were supposedly gonna, at the time, they were gonna close up, and we were in the SIAC Conference Division II.
Right.
So, but basketball, I had a team. Like, we were loaded.
Yeah.
And we've won at this time. It's like end of January. We've won like 9 in a row, and like so Payne's a small private liberal arts college, right in the middle of like downtown Augusta.
Yeah,
and we had our own police department, which was like 3 people or whatever.
Yeah,
but they all knew me, of course. So
yeah.
so I guess some of our guys I didn't know I was home, they're doing extracurricular activities. I don't know what that entails.
Little Friday, Saturday night.
Yeah,
get out.
I'm assuming, well, anyway, come to find out, one of the guys who's arguably he's my best player, averaging like 27 a game. I think I already mentioned his name earlier, but he found the key on the ground. It's not his fault. Found the key. We had a brand new arena. And he was going in and supposedly it was like going in. They were hanging out, and he'd go in and he had the key to everything.
Just shooting some hoop.
Yeah, but that's what he said he was doing. But I think there was chips and drinks and Snicker bars, and he's going out, with it, and it was going on for a while. But they told us, the police guy over and he goes, Jimmy, I know at like 3 a.m. He's going in there. He's saying he's going to shoot, but he's going in with a backpack. And he's coming right back out. He's like, here's the thing though, we lost the key, and I'm like, they go, we know he has the key because we'll lock the door on purpose, and he'll go in there. And I'm like, they go, look, we're not gonna say nothing. Just get the key for it. So I'm like, I pulled him in and say, hey, he's like, what's up, coach? I need the key. He's like,
what key?
What key? I'm like, Denzel, I need the key. Coach, I don't even know what you're talking about. I said, all right, I'm gonna go to the bathroom. Leave the key here.
The key you don't know about.
I don't know about
needs to be on my desk.
That's when I come back, and sure as heck, he was gone. Keys of that. I brought it up later because later he texts me later. He goes, you know, it wasn't just all me, right?
Yeah,
and
exactly.
I go, oh, I know.
Yeah.
So I had the whole team, and I'm like, and they bust out laughing and all this stuff. So anyway, we ended up winning 17 in a row. They didn't want to blow the team up because it was the only thing that was going on at the school that was great.
Yeah.
And we had won 17 in a row, and ended up, we were 25th in the country, which for the SIAC was hard to get in that.
Yeah.
Like we were like, they had us at 8th in the region, and man, we were so good. We would have drug a lot of those teams if we would have got in and all that. They didn't let us in the national tournament.
Why?
It's funny. After that year, they started to let 2 teams in the national tournament from the SIAC because I blew up Twitter. If you go back and look at my Twitter during that year, I went crazy because it was HBCU, and you guys are only letting 1 team, and we have 13 HBCUs, and you're letting 1 team in. We lost in the champion or semifinals of the tournament. They were only taking the team that won the tournament, and I'm like, we're 24-6 or something, 23-6, and you're not letting us in. And they didn't let us in, and I made and so now they've been getting 2 in, but it was kind of messed up being on that side of it. I'm like, what? But the Sunshine State Conference which is out of Florida, and the Gulf South Conference, which is out of like Alabama, Mississippi, and a little bit of Georgia, like West Georgia and them, Valdosta State, they were getting 4 teams in. And I'm like, and they didn't want to play us. I can promise you that.
That was it.
Yeah.
They didn't want to play.
We were loaded.
Yeah, they didn't want to play.
So that was a funny story about that one. But I've had a bunch. My favorite part of probably, now I'm looking back as you're saying it, man, the road trips, just so funny. Oh, I have the best story on the play. I have the best one. This is the best story. I know my guys at Venture would be sitting there laughing about this. We're going to play Morehouse, 2-hour drive. We go with the girl, or we didn't go with the girls because Morehouse doesn't have a girls team. So usually we go with the girls, right? Yeah. We have a coach bus, and we stopped at Golden Corral. Like, I guess it was like, now that I know the area, near Conyers area, or like up in that area, whatever, somewhere over there. And we had, on the way up, we were watching the movie Life. Yeah. And this is in 2013. And so Life's on, and with Eddie Murphy and the other guy, funny, Martin Lawrence. Yeah. and it's on. We're watching it, whatever, and it's not over. It's still on, but the funny parts have been on,
Yeah.
So we stop to go in. We go in. I go to pay for all of them to go eat. I was with my wife Jen at the time, and then the boys. And they were little, and we're all up at the Golden Corral. It's buffet,
Yeah.
so we're all there, and they had planned to mess with me because I'm a white dude.
Yeah.
They're HBCU, all black guys, right? And they're all in their jumpsuits, all zipped up. They look good. And they line up in a line behind all these, there's white people, black people, whatever, Hispanic people eating behind the so that I'm over here at the buffet eating and they're lined up. I mean, lined straight across on purpose. And all I hear is, boss, from life. Boss. I'm like, no way. No, they're not doing this. And I turn around and they're like, boss, we's a hungry, boss, like the movie.
Yeah.
And I look at it, I go, I'm gonna kill every one of y'all. They're like, can we eat now, boss? And the people in front of their faces are like, and I'm like, oh no. I said,
they're looking at you like this asshole.
Like, here I have my family, we're eating, and they're lined up like I'm not allowing them. Oh man. And then of course they bust out laughing, and then all the people, the whole restaurant just dies out laughing. And I thought, man, that would only happen at HBCU as a white coach.
Yeah, that's great. Well, that means they loved you and they respected you, and that's awesome.
That was a fun time being at Payne. It was a lot more. It was weird. It was like we had no money, but like the president and them made sure we were happy.
Right.
Like not me personally, my money, like our team. We had gear and we made sure he had, if we needed basketballs, we got them. Our gym was brand new. Our locker room was unbelievable. Like I got what I wanted when I was there, and they treated me really good. And then, but I had to leave at that time because they ended up having issues, and they, now they're getting better now, I think. And but they treated me unbelievable, like as the head coach there at a young age.
Well, hell, 30 years old. That's really young. That's awesome. Well, the thing about it is you can tell, like, just it's funny when I meet people because I don't know you from Adam.
Mm-mm.
And Jimmy walked in, and I'm like, Jimmy. Yeah. It was like we were just we were just brothers and part of the team. And I think being a good coach, you really got to be able to relate to people regardless of who you are, where you came from, and. I'm happy you came on. I really, it's you're welcome to come back anytime. I really need to know. So we're involved with Pro League Network on Brinks TV, and they've started betting and stuff. So I need to know who I'll have to hit you up after on who I need to put the money down on.
Yeah, that'd be good. That's pretty cool. I like that stuff.
We love it. So
we weren't allowed to do that when I was coaching, and now I'm like, oh, this is what I was missing.
Exactly. Hey, miss that shot.
Yeah.
Miss that shot.
Yeah.
Well, also a call out to the World Putting League that's happening this weekend. That's part of PLN's network. They'll be up in Myrtle Beach. I think it's the Pineapple course up there. So the World Putting League's going on. So check it out on Brinks TV. It's a hoot, man. So you can bet for free on Brinks if you're even a young person. You get points. But we've had a good time getting involved in all kinds of sports, and even though I've been out of it, it's really awesome to do it. Yeah. So, anything else you want to say to the Salty Nation out there? I can tell why you were a successful coach, and now you're going to be a successful business guy. So that's awesome.
Yeah, no, I appreciate you having me, man. This is a real. By the way, this little room you got, this is evidently new. This is all I've seen, and it is awesome. Whoever did this, shout out to that guy, because this is. It's crazy, isn't it? This is the real deal, man. You got it going on. It's insane. So shout out since Jimmy did that. So Mark Rowe, not that I've just not been promoting the living shit out of you, but I didn't know that. Mark Rowe, Adnormous, check them out. Adnormous Graphics. Yeah. So these guys, I know Mark a long time, but they do all kinds of stuff. They wrap the SEC buses, game day buses, aquarium. They just did the Sweetwater suites down in the Mercedes Benz building. So, literally,
If you could have seen, I'll send you pictures of this place before. It was like a dark hole, but we wanted it to be really raw. And but then, when I told Mark, I said, hey, I want to do something that's experienced. So if someone's never been on a podcast or they come in, they're like, shit, man, this is crazy.
So cool.
It's crazy. Yeah. So, well, Jimmy, you're going to be on the board next.
Let's go.
Jimmy's made the picture board over here. You can't see it. Coach Jimmy Link is definitely going to be on the board. But, man, I hope you come back, and this started a friendship. Yes. And, I really appreciate I think Nick Carlson introduced us.
Yep.
So call out to Nick. Yep. Nick, I really appreciate you thinking of us. The one thing that the fans don't see or the listeners don't see is, most of our guests, we don't seek people out. They're usually referred or contact us. And it's just, and I like it because it's just genuine, man. It's just a conversation. Cool. And so Jimmy Link knows basketball. Look for his young son there coming up, 5'10", 215. The kid's a monster.
Yeah.
And shot put and track is a good route too.
Yeah, it's weird. He's literally #1 of the whole state of Georgia for 6th grade, and it was his first time ever doing it. He's just a bull, but I'm happy for him. He's really excited about it, and
don't give your dad a hard time. He doesn't do it. And those two younger siblings, you're gonna catch your older brother.
They are.
It happens.
The second one wants to kill him. They're like 17 months apart, and he just
he's like I'm sick of hearing about this guy.
Yeah, he is. He's annoyed with it for sure, but he's working hard. And then the third one's the funny one. He still likes Naruto and that kind of thing.
Oh yeah,
and I love it because then he'll put his track spikes on and dust both of them.
That's it's so funny, the whole sibling rivalry. So my 18-year-old and my 26-year-old. My 26-year-old started getting back into weights, and my 18-year-old's he's a weight guy. He's a physical specimen, the tall one.
I bet.
And the other one's big. And
you're a big dude.
Yeah. So my 26-year-old looks like me. He's big and thick. So it's funny. I come in the house last night, and they're both flexing and whatever, and the older one's trying to get back in shape and whatever. And the testosterone levels right now in the McBastard house are friggin' out of the universe. But I love it, man. I miss that kind of competition. Is good for you.
Yeah.
Well, man, today, guys, Salty Nation, we've been talking to Jimmy Link, ex-basketball coach, 18 years, and the 2015 Black Coach of the Year. He is a super guy, so we appreciate the listen. We'll catch you next time. Let's go.